On this edition of Farm Bureau Focus, we meet the new National YF&R Committee Chair, who hails from Missouri. We get a wrap-up of this year's AFBF annual meeting in Phoenix. And we see how agriculture has helped a Missouri farmer learn to walk again. All this and more on Farm Bureau Focus. Members of the American Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee elected Kalina Bruce of Cedar County, Missouri, as the committee's chair for 2017. Bruce will take over as chair in February at the end of the committee's leadership conference and serve for 1 year. She will also serve a 1-year term on the AFBF Board of Directors.
We serve on a committee of very talented leaders and agriculture advocates, and so for them to think that I have what it takes to lead us in the fight for 2017 is very humbling.
Kalina and her husband Billy have a cow-calf farm and a U-pick berry operation. In the fall, the Bruces offer a pumpkin patch and a corn maze. They have a 2-year-old daughter named Willa Grace. The 2017 Commodity Conference and Legislative Briefing is scheduled to be held February 27th and 28th in Jefferson City at the Capitol Plaza Hotel. The event helps inform Missouri farmers about current agricultural issues so they can prepare for the year ahead.
One of the new and different things that we are going to be doing this year is we are actually moving our trip to the Capitol to visit legislators from Monday afternoon to Tuesday morning. So we want everybody to be aware of that and prepare and make plans to stick around for Tuesday, the second day, to go to the Capitol and meet with legislators with that. We have a good array of speakers from legislators, the Speaker of the House, Speaker Pro Tem, President Pro Tem of the Senate. We have a market outlook and weather outlook after the Capitol visits on Tuesday. Dr. Taylor from Iowa State will be back with us again to talk about weather, and our market outlook will be given by Daryl Holliday, who's been very popular the last 2 or 3 years from Kansas. Will be back again with us.
You can register for the 2017 Commodity Conference and Legislative Briefing at mofb.org. For a guaranteed room, contact the Capitol Plaza Hotel by February 13th. Now let's check in with our legislative team for an update.
On this month's County Board agenda is a reminder about the Missouri Agricultural Skills and Knowledge Assessment Program, the industry-recognized credentials that Missouri Farm Bureau is offering to agriculture education students. This is a program that we administer with DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. In your packet, you have a list of MOASC events or career development events or just plain old FFA contests that are happening hopefully in your area and all across the state. Thank you to those of you who have agreed and already been working with your local ag teacher to serve as verifiers at the event nearest you. If you haven't heard from your ag teacher, it's probably a good idea just to make connection. If you are a verifier and have questions, please feel free to contact Jill Fansler or me in the office. But again, thank you for what you do. This is year 4 of the program. It's a great partnership for Farm Bureau and another way to support the next generation as they pursue careers in agriculture. Thank you.
Many of you have seen some notices from me about various meetings around the state. There are a number of different meetings going on, different parts of the state through February, and hopefully some of your County Farm Bureau leaders will be able to participate. We appreciate your participation in those that have already taken place. In December, there were the Grain Belt Express hearings held by the Public Service Commission, and there was good turnout for that. We'll have a formal hearing coming up in March in Jefferson City where attorneys will provide briefings and cross-examine witnesses. We also have in February a number of meetings pertaining to the extension councils, many of which you are already aware of, and also some additional meetings pertaining to the Rock Island Trail, some of which have already been held, but we expect to have additional information coming out in that regard. Our Missouri Waters is another program that continues to schedule meetings through February and probably into later in the year. Also, in February, we have Commodity Conference and Legislative Briefing, of course, so there will be updates on these and other issues provided at that time. And into March, we know that Department of Conservation is looking at scheduling some open houses, whether they start in March or later in the year. We know that they are looking at some issues and sending out notices to interested parties. We'll be getting more information out about that. Hopefully we'll have some of that information by the time legislative briefing comes up. If you have any questions on any of these or other matters, always feel free to contact us.
BJ Tanksley with Missouri Farm Bureau here live at the state capitol. The state session is off to a fast-paced start and legislation is moving quickly. The House and Senate majority parties are moving priority pieces of legislation quickly, including labor reform, tort reform, and ethics reform. Missouri Farm Bureau continues to work with the legislature and our House and Senate Ag committees as we move priority pieces of legislation as well. Those include industrial hemp legislation, dicamba-related bills, and other issues that affect our farmers on a day-to-day basis. We'll keep you up to date as the legislation moves forward, and just stay tuned to Missouri Farm Bureau.
The AFBF annual convention was held in Phoenix from January 6th through the 11th. Missouri delegates worked hard to make sure the voices of Missouri members were heard.
Several of our priorities have made it into the final language adopted by the delegate body. Some of our language on the Farm Bill has gone into the priorities for the 2018 Farm Bill that American Farm Bill will be working on. We're very pleased about that. Several different resolutions we had on broadband and infrastructure have been included in the policy book, so that's a success. Our one disappointment, although it was a very close vote, our one disappointment was our language on repeal of the veterinary feed directive was removed from the tentative resolution, so that will not be in the final resolutions we leave here from Phoenix, with. But we did have a good conversation, and our members' concerns about access to veterinary care and other issues having to do with the veterinary feed directive were very well discussed, and so it was successful, I think, for us to have a chance to talk about the issue.
Hi everyone, 2017 is off to a fast and furious start. Let's begin by covering the 2017 Strategic Action Plan for the American Farm Bureau. As a result of the work that you did through our policy development process, as well as your fellow members from across the country, we have new policy as well as a strategic set of core issues that will guide us this coming year. Topping the list, regulatory reform, tax reform, the 2018 Farm Bill, and immigration reform. I know many of you are paying attention to the news. You know that regulatory reform is all over the place in terms of being at the top of President Trump's agenda. Not only has he put a regulatory freeze in place, but he's also started the conversation about anytime a new regulation is put in place, two old ones have to come off the books. That is the recent conversation, the latest executive order. So stay tuned. We'll be talking more about that and the overall regulatory climate as we push on regulatory reform in Congress. Obviously, 2018 Farm Bill, the first field hearing is coming up this month in Kansas, the home state of the Senate Ag Committee Chairman. We'll make sure to talk about the 2018 Farm Bill when our delegation is in Washington, D.C. in March. Trade has also been in the news. It is another issue that is on our watch list. The President has withdrawn from the Trans-Pacific Partnership and has also signaled that he is going to renegotiate NAFTA. Just know that it is important that our organization, as well as farmers and ranchers across the country, speak up and talk about the importance of export markets, considering that 25% of what you all produce ends up overseas. So that's a look at some of the core issues. Just know that you can pick up the phone, call anytime. It's going to be a busy legislative session. Expect that you're going to hear more from us about tax reform, especially some key questions that you all will need to think about in the months ahead. Thanks for all you do.
Farming's probably not the most optimal career choice for somebody like me, but it's what I love, and I truly enjoy the hard work. I enjoy that sense of accomplishment. It was a 4-car car crash, and my 2 middle children and I were hit by a drunk driver, and it was devastating for our family. One had a really big seatbelt laceration, who was sitting in the front seat, and then our daughter, who was in the back seat, just broke her arm. They didn't really know if or how well I would ever be able to walk again. I mean, I had lots and lots of injuries, but my 3 worst were my pelvis and both of my ankles. It was a 4-year recovery, and so far I've had 11 surgeries. It was hard for our kids to see Mom always in pain, I guess. You know, I was in a hospital bed in our living room for months, and after a while, I guess it just became kind of like our new normal. Right after I had my car crash, about a year afterwards, we decided to go ahead and get back into the cattle business. And in my life personally, it has played a huge role in my recovery and giving me a focus, and really what it's done is given me the ability to have accomplishments again with my disabilities. I was in a wheelchair for almost 2 years, and I am not one to sit around. Like, my mind was still very active, but I just couldn't get my body to cooperate. So because of my disabilities, I had to change my complete way of thinking. I want to do this, so how am I going to do this, but do it safely? I received the Ranger and the Cake Feeder as a grant through AgriAbility and Vocational Rehab, and the Vocational Rehab was our local one out of Rolla. That's probably been my savior because I don't have to step down out of it like the tractor or the truck. I can just slide out. But most of all, when I go out to feed in the fields, we have bunk feeders out there, and the Cake Feeder, I can just drive by, it just pours out, and then I never have to get out. I never put myself in harm's way. And the energy and the amount of steps that I save per day has just been amazing, and it's been my godsend. This is my physical therapy every day. It gives me exercise that I normally probably wouldn't get, but I get to be outdoors. I love being with the animals, and it just, you know, I get to look back and say, I did that. I was able to figure out how to do it, and that sense of accomplishment, that is what has propelled me to continue trying to recover to the best of my ability. It makes me feel like I'm living again. I'm doing something on my own, and I get to contribute to our family. That's, you know, and it's beneficial. So I just feel like I'm living.
That's it for this edition of Farm Bureau Focus. Join us again next time for all your Missouri Farm Bureau news.